Going to feature the three presidential candidates as well as the vice presidential candidate. My name is Michael McDonald. I'm a professor in the communication department. I've been asked to moderate the debate. I'm happy to do so. Also seated here with me is Josh, who will be reading the questions out. He's the Chief Electoral Officer, and he will be looking after a lot of things. So he'll be reading the questions when we get to that section. Matt will be the timekeeper, and we'll explain the time signal shortly. And Kelly is looking after the video component, so it's all good. We're going to have a nice, relaxed format, and hopefully a lot of great information from the debate candidates. Each candidate will have a 7-minute opening statement. There will be time signals given to each candidate by Matt. After 2 minutes, after they've spoken for 2 minutes, they will be shown 5 fingers, meaning 5 minutes remaining, and 4, 3, 2, 1, and then this is the 30-second, and then it will be timed. You cannot exceed 7 minutes. Following that, following each candidate having an opportunity for their opening statement, we will have questions from the audience, and each candidate will be answering each question, and they will be limited to 1 minute. So the time signal for that will just be the 30-second and then time. At the end, they will have time for a 1.5-minute interaction and any questions that they wish to ask each other, as well as any final statements they wish to make. Candidates, do you have any questions for me before we begin? Good, because I don't have any answers. All right. You guys are the ones here with the answers, and I can't wait to hear them. So, in an order that was predetermined by random selection, I now call upon the first candidate for president, Mr. Ben McNutt, for his opening statement not to exceed 7 minutes.
Thank you so much, Mr. Moderator. Once again, my name is Ben McNutt. I'm a third-year student here, and this is my second year as a counselor on the board of the Students' Union. Over the summer, I was the pro tem accountability chair of the union, and currently I'm the secretary of the union. I spent my time on multiple committees, as well as committees with the union through Senate and as a student ambassador. So I want to hopefully use this experience, these 2 years of experience, in my time as president. And I think that in this time I've really seen some of the things that the union does well, and some of the things that I think it could be doing better. So there's 4 main things that I've been running on in my time in this campaign. And the first one is house councils. This is an idea that's been floating around the university for as long as I've been here. And each year I've heard about it, I've seen it kicked down the road again. What I would hope to see, and what I'm running on, is that we would be electing representatives for each of the houses on residence in the fall by-election of the Students' Union. My hope is that these representatives would not just be voices for residents to the union and to the university, but also acting in a coordinator fashion with the Students' Union, bringing the events and information that the union has back home to residents, and then allowing the ideas and personnel of residents to really bubble up through those coordinators. In that way, I see this as being really important not only to resident students, but also to our off-campus students. Our resident students are in a lot of ways the people who are first on the scene. They're first here to events. In a lot of cases, they're the ones organizing events. And getting them involved in campus in a really meaningful way is vital if we're going to produce that vibrant campus life that we really want to be a part of back here at the university. So, second, and this is another issue that I think has demanded attention for a long time, and probably the most important part of my campaign, is a sexual assault policy on prevention and advocacy here at the union and at the university. I can remember hearing this from our Women's Center coordinator last year. So what I would like to see is a policy that's crafted in collaboration with our Women's Center, so that we're not bringing in a policy from outside the union And this policy is not going to be the ideas of a few union representatives that you elect this year, but it's going to be grounded in the experience of the students who've been looking at this issue, dealing with it, and have the knowledge that with our capacity to help as a union, we can really start to make a real positive impact on our campus. So the concrete part of this policy I see is bringing together the resources that are available to students currently and making them very available and apparent to students. And then I see this policy as also being a spark for conversation, and this is probably even more important than what it does in a concrete fashion. We need to be talking about this with our university partners in security and student services, and we also need to be talking about this with our partners in the community, with law enforcement, with the regional health authority, and other advocacy groups. In particular, I would really love to see the White Ribbon Campaign, which is Men Against Violence Against Women, come and be a part of our orientation week next year. And in that way, I want to kick off a year of the union's commitment to speaking about sexual assault. We're living in a point in time where 1 in 6 female students in Nova Scotia campuses are reporting that they've been victims of sexual assault. And if we're not paying attention to this, then we're doing them a disservice. Not only those individuals, but the entire community. If people don't feel safe on their campuses, then we're losing out on a lot of the amazing things that these people have to offer. So again, I see this as being a concrete plan to bring resources and accessibility of those resources to our students, but then promoting a positive atmosphere in which people can feel safe accessing those resources and talking openly about these issues. Because those are the biggest hurdles in a lot of ways to actually reaching out when help is needed, but also having meaningful conversations about consent and about bystanding. So, 2 more, and I'll rush through them since I know that I'm getting to the end of my time. Transit. Every year our candidates get up and tell us that we need better busing and we need better parking. And while I think that's very important that as a union we continue to advocating for these better access to these resources, we also need to be thinking in more imaginative ways in which we can be addressing the problem of transit. In particular, I would really love to see a ride-sharing program or a carpooling program out here for students. In this way, I see us as taking a real stand to get some tangible benefits for our students in getting to and from the university. I see it as helping to alleviate some of the pressure on our wallets at this point, helping to give some weight to the university's idea as a green institution, and finally is giving first-year students a real step in the door with the university. If they have a 15-minute ride home with a third-year student, and they talk for 5 of those minutes about the university, then I think that's a really positive step. Finally, and it's a huge problem for the union, is transparency. Too often is this really the last time we see the people we elect to our union, and too often is the last time that we really understand what they're doing. What I want to see is the best way that I've been involved in what the union does has been being a part of their council meetings. Obviously, this isn't something that we can expect everyone to do. Not everyone should or has to be a representative. But those meetings should be more available and more present in the lives of our students, because this is where we're deciding where the $500,000 that we bring together every year goes. And if we're paying attention to that, then we're missing out on the ideas of our students, and we're missing out on the potential of our union. So I want to take those meetings and I want to put them somewhere accessible. I want to put them in a lecture theater, I want to put them somewhere very visible on campus. And in doing that, I hope that we really do start to tap into those ideas, because I don't think our students think of the union enough when they have ideas about what they want to see on campus. Sadly, in my time as a representative, I've probably been only contacted 3 or 4 times. That's not enough. At the end of these meetings, I really do want to see a question period as well, because it's important that students be able to respond to their candidates in a timely manner. Rather than waiting 48 hours and saying what you want to talk about, you should be able to get up at the end and say, my representative needs to address these issues. Our council isn't paying attention to this very important problem. So once again, I want to thank you so much for being here. I see some faces that I've spoken to before. I hope I'm not boring you by being repetitive. Once again, my name is Ben McNutt, and I really hope to have all of your support. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ben, for starting off the debate. And I think I'm going to lose my microphone. Maybe. We'll see. Well, fortunately, I don't really need one, so we'll continue on from there. Alrighty. I would now like to call upon the second candidate for president, Brandon Ellis, for his opening remarks and a speech not to exceed 7 minutes.
honored to be here today for this debate to be running for the presidency of the Cape Breton University Students' Union. I do not run to oppose any person, but I run to propose new ideas. I run because I believe we can do more for the students here at CBU. That we can give the students more for the union dues that they pay. If I can do that, then I feel obliged to do all that I can, and I run to seek new policies. Policies that include a better welcoming committee for our international students. Our current policy does little to address the situations that international students face on a daily basis, such as learning and studying driver's handbook, and a language that they are still learning, such as learning and understanding the laws here in Canada, such as knowing their rights as tenants when renting apartments. I run to seek better policy for tutoring. Tutoring is an essential service that the Students' Union should be providing for those who need help. They should not be charging for those in need, and I will see to it that this will no longer be the case. Tutoring will be a service once again here at CBU, and not a privilege. The tutoring budget was already slashed this year, and the fact that they are cutting it and are passing the buck back onto the students is unacceptable and inappropriate. I seek to provide, like my friend here, better transparency within our union. A level of transparency that includes the students at all levels of decision making by our student union. This includes speaking rights. If a student wishes to speak at a student representative council meeting about an issue that is important to them, then we should be encouraging it. We need to change the bylaws that are in place and require a student to give 48 hours notice. The SRC meetings are not well advertised as it is, and student involvement should be encouraged, not shunned away. The gold-plated benefits for the student executive will stop as well. Many of you may not know actually, but the student executive not only receives an excellent pay for what they do, but they also receive perks such as free parking. I pledge to you that if elected, the presidential pay will be reduced this year, and I will not accept a free parking perk. I will pay for my parking just like everyone else. It's time to stop lining the pockets of the student executive and start putting the money back into student services. I also seek policies to better support the prevention of sexual violence. This issue has been getting attention over the past several days and should be getting attention every single day of the year. Initially, I spoke of self-defense classes that would be part of a proactive approach that this university would take against sexual assault. But through further conversations, it is apparent to me that we need more than that. We need better training for our security guards. As often they are there when the problem starts. They currently do not have any training in sexual violence prevention. And I believe that this should be mandatory before any of them begin working in the pit. The safety of students is the number one priority. Allowing them to work without the proper training is a disservice to the students, and together we must tackle this issue of sexual violence. The Women's Center has my word, and now has my public support. So today I say let's end sexual violence here on campus. We can set an example for other universities to follow, but first we must do it by working together. Before even having my first class here, I was asked when I was going to run for president by the administration, faculty, former student politicians, current students, and my mother. Some of you may know that this is not my first dance of politics. My first experience with anything at a political level was when I ran for office in the 2012 municipal election. I managed to run a very successful campaign against an incumbent who has been representing my district longer than I've been alive. Following that campaign, I was recruited to work on a campaign on a federal level. This was Justin Trudeau's nomination campaign for the leadership of the Liberal Party. I was part of a group that represented him in the riding of City Victoria. Since then, I've worked on several other provincial government campaigns, including Jeff McClellan's, Gordy Goss, and Edna Lee's. I am also well-versed with working with the Students' Union, as back in October, I was elected to serve as a Student Representative Council member, and following that election, I was elected by my peers of the SRC to serve as the Deputy Chair of the Student Representative Council. I run in this election because I know that I can provide a positive change to the student body. I am experienced in dealing with 4 levels of government: student, municipal, provincial, and federal. I believe that this can make a major difference for the students here at CBU, as it will give the Students' Union a direct link to these different levels of government. I run because I have experience getting things passed in the CBR and council. Back in November, a group consisting of myself and 3 others made presentations to the CBRN, and we were able to get a youth council approved with a budget of $25,000. Such a thing has never been done before in Atlantic Canada up until that point. If we can do that, imagine what we could do if you elect me as the president of Cape Breton University Students' Union. I will close with a quote from a hero of mine, Robert Francis Kennedy. You will have the greatness to bend history itself, that each of us can work together to change a small portion of events. It's from numberless, diverse acts of courage and belief that human history is shaped. Each time a person stands up for an ideal, or acts to improve the lot of others, or strikes out against injustice, they send forth a tiny ripple of hope, and crossing each other from a million different centers of energy, and daring those ripples to build a current, which could sweep down the mightiest walls of oppression and resistance. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brendan. I would like to now call upon the third candidate for president, Brennan Boudreau, for a speech not to exceed 7 minutes.
I'm just gonna. I will. There we go. So, hi everyone. My name is Brennan Boudreau, current Vice President of the Students' Union, and I am now running for President of the Students' Union. So, basically, my platform is broken up into 2 different categories. First, I had 4 main aspects of my platform that I personally thought would be a good thing to implement at CBU. Second, for the past 3 days or past 4 or 5 days, I've actually been going around campus and asking students specifically what they would like to see at Cape Breton University. So that is another part of my actual platform. So touching on the first part, one of my biggest part of the actual first part of my platform is a mental health plan. So basically the way this mental health plan would work is that there'd be an online assessment tool readily available to all CBU students. And basically, this assessment tool has actually been approved and completely sponsored by the top 10 doctors in Canada on mental health. So when you take this online assessment tool, you would actually get a diagnosis of whether you had a mental health problem, depending on whether you did or not. So say you took the online assessment tool, and after it was finished, it would actually talk about it would tell you different recommendations about what to do in the situation. So whether you had to go see a counselor or if you had to go see a psychologist, and it would actually be very to this area of Sydney. So basically, if it did say to go see a counselor, I would recommend going to see like Helen Boone or different other counselors in the area. Then you would bring this on you bring the documentation saying if you did get diagnosed with something, and based on that, it would further off the process, it would continue the process of being diagnosed for a mental illness. My second part of my campaign is a cheaper health plan. So currently we actually pay too much for our health plan. I know this having been vice president. So I would just like to say that it's extremely possible, very probable that we're able to actually make a cheaper health plan with all the same services. International welcome. So 30% of our students here are actually international students. And I don't feel like when they get here to Cape Breton, we actually don't do enough to actually welcome here to this beautiful island that we have. So what my international welcome program would actually entail would be talking to different international students to see where the problem originated when they first got here. Basically what happens is they get here, they get to the school, and we just say, okay, so here's CBU, and that's it. And that's not enough. We have to introduce them to the community, we have to show them the resources that are available at the school, show them where the hospital is. I mean, it's simple things like that we actually need to do. Social life. So, having been vice president, I've had a lot of leeway I've had a lot of experience with planning pit events and other events that happen on campus. I've also played a large part in planning Frost Week, and because of how successful Frost Week has been this year, the university has asked me personally to actually sit on a committee already for next year's Frost Week. So those four main aspects are what I want to bring to school, my ideas. The other four aspects are what, after talking to students, the four aspects that they feel should be talked about and should be done here at CBU. So the first one, my fellow candidates here talked a lot about this, sexual assault, and so the first thing that I would actually like to implement is a blue light emergency program. So many schools across Atlantic Canada and even all of Canada follow this program. Basically what it is that there'd be these blue emergency poles around that would actually, if you were in trouble or whatever, you go there and push the button and a signal would be sent to the security. As soon as that signal was sent, the security would run there and they would actually be able to help you. It also, as soon as you push the button, a siren would go off and there'd be blue lights going around. So anybody in the area would actually also be notified. Resident repairs and internet. Our internet here is crap, simply put. We need better internet. Most Tim Hortons have better internet than what we have here. So basically, I feel like as though it's actually a need. It's actually not even something that we should be saying that we could do. It's something that we actually need to do. Residence itself, McDonald Residence actually has only one working washer. That's ridiculous. So if I'm elected president, I feel as though I will demand from our residents and from the university to actually repair those other washers or to supply them with new ones. Better cab food or better out at the cab. The cab here closes at 2 p.m. Most classes here actually don't end until 2:30. So basically the resources for food here are crap. Advocate for snow removal so that there's actually better spots for parking. So currently we live in Canada, so basically we get a crap ton of snow. The best part about it is, the worst part is the fact that we do have the parking spots. It's just that because of the snow, we don't seem to actually, they seem to be covered and it seems our spots seem to be limited. Last, in ending notes, I would actually just like to say that there's actually a few more things that students have brought to me that I would actually like to say are actually being implemented right now. So one is actually microwaves. So students have requested that we don't have enough microwaves here. And just so you know, the Students' Union is actually going forward and actually buying more. There will be more microwaves in the school very, very shortly. Second, at the start of the semester, Matt Latimer, our current president of the Students' Union, actually assigned me to sit on the committee here at CBU to construct House Councils. So, that being said, House Councils are actually set to start. The election is set to start in March. And with that, I just hope you guys get out tomorrow and actually vote tomorrow and on Wednesday. So, thanks everyone.
Thank you, Brennan. We will now call upon the lone candidate for Vice President, Mr. Andrew Petrie, for his opening comments not to exceed 7 minutes.
Hello. I'll try not to overwhelm you with my charisma here. I'm going to be honest, this is probably the most painstakingly uncomfortable thing I've ever done in my life. I've spent the better part of my life trying to avoid any kind of spotlight whatsoever. So the question comes, why am I doing this to myself? Well, I'm the kind of person where I hate to hear people complain about problems and never offer any solutions. And that seems to what I hear a lot from my friends and student colleagues throughout this university, is that there seems to be some new problems. Our excellent presidential candidates have addressed many of them. And since I wasn't feeling that, some things weren't being done, or I felt they could be done differently, instead of just talking about it, I felt, hey, let's try not to run for vice president, because this seems to be a lot easier. Well, I'd like to address a few of them, but there's always more issues that can be addressed, and I look forward to speaking with all of you, or for you to give me a big kick in the butt and say, get back to work.
First and foremost, something that bothers me as a political science student is the lack of transparency in the current union. The idea of speaking rights and having to wait 48 hours to have the right to speak in your own student union is something that has been addressed today, and I feel it has to be just eliminated. It seems to be quite unnecessary. If you can come and talk to me afterwards without speaking rights, why can't you do that during the meeting? Especially if you're like myself or the other presidential candidates, you're going to be receiving a pay to do this work. You should just be able to talk to me at any point, including the meeting. Obviously not right now. Another problem that I found a bit disturbing is the fact that most of us don't know what the budget is. We don't have any access to it. We feel kind of excluded from the process. So something that I would like to be seen to be done is either on the student union website or set up a news website. Students of the school and students only can access the budget and download a PDF file with a detailed outline of how your money is being spent. If you're losing over $500,000 a year to pay for a union, that's fine. It's going to a good cause. But you should probably want to know where it's actually going. Secondly, another issue that has been addressed today is transit. As a lifelong member of the Cape Breton community, I can attest that the transit here is absolutely atrocious. And now, of course, what we go up to just march down to City Hall and demand that we get more buses into the union, that's probably not going to happen anytime too soon, although we will work for it. So something that Mr. McNutt has addressed is, and the other candidates as well, as the idea of using some kind of carpool system. Third and foremost, I feel in university, we all strive to be individuals. This is the time that we step away from the cliques of high school and we try to move forward as an individual, express our own ideas, our own feelings, our own new relationships, separate from our parents. However, that desire for individualism seems to hurt the idea of a community spirit. The idea that we have to compete with each other. Who has the best grade average? Who has the best scholarship? Am I getting the best degree? Am I going to be the best paid person after I get a high school or university, sorry? I feel that together as a community, we do better when we all work together. We have to do this in multiple ways. Simply talking to each other, an engineering student talking to a political science student, sorry for my fellow political science students, but an actual science student talking to a nursing student, so on and so forth. I feel that we kind of get locked off in our own little zones. We're so focused on getting that term paper done, going to our individual societies, that we kind of forget that we're in this amazing ability right now as a community to express new ideas. And we'll probably never get that back. So I feel that together we should realize that we're not just BA students or science students or nursing students. We are all students in one university, all doing the same thing. We are trying to better ourselves intellectually and economically by getting degrees that will help us in the future. Finally, I have to probably tell you a little bit about myself because I'm assuming most of you have absolutely no idea who I am. I was raised by a single mother, and I was always taught two things: to have ambition in life and to work hard. With these two, I believe you can accomplish anything. And there's a lot of cynicism going around in the world right now. We have politicians in levels far beyond what I'm running for that seem to feed this. And I hear a lot of talk around here that what I'm doing right now is pointless, that we can't accomplish anything, that it's just, a showpiece. I've been told that I can't do things my entire life. I was told I wouldn't walk right. I was told I couldn't talk right because I'm from the Waterford. Hello, the Waterforders. I was told that I would never graduate because I have a learning disability. And I was told because, well, let's face it, I hate interacting with people because I'm not very socially enough, that I would never make friends. Well, I'm here to tell you that I have friends, and those ones have been kicking my ass to get me to go up here and run for you. And at least show that there is people here. There are people sitting right here. There's a person standing right here that wants to do good for you. We may not know what's always best, but that's what you're here for. You're here to march into our offices. You're here to go to the meetings, and you're here to talk to me right now and tell you, this is what I want done. You are my representative, and this is what is going to be done because this is what needs to be done. And if we can achieve that, and we can get over the cynicism and get over the doubt, I believe we can accomplish anything we want to do, and that is what I want to do. Thank you.
I would like to thank Andrew for concluding the opening statement component of the debate. I'm now going to turn it over to Josh, who has sifted through the questions. We have had many, and he's come up with a list. He will ask the question, and each candidate will have 1 minute to answer the question. Okay, we're going to try this microphone again and see if it works.
Ben, try turning off that microphone.
Okay, yes, I might be better. Try it. And we're going to see if, Hello. Oh, there we go. Apparently you cannot have two microphones on at the same time. And someone wanted to say, okay, the guy teaches communication, let's see if we can hear him when there's no microphone. Okay, well, Josh, over to you. Here's a microphone.
Thank you, Mike. Excellent opening remarks from all candidates. The first question answerer will be Ben McNutt. You have 1 minute to answer the question. The first set of questions is related to sexual assault. You'll get a note from Matt on their 10 seconds left as well. Okay, first question. Do you think men and women should both be present for sexual assault information sessions? Hello?
You guys ready? That one on?
Hello?
Start now.
Thanks, Josh. Absolutely. Having men involved in these sessions is absolutely vital. In reality, if we're not having these discussions often and in all places around campus, including all members of the CBU community, then we're not going to start to make a dent in the impression that a lot of people have that we're existing in a negative environment where people can come forward and get information and get resources. Unless this is a conversation that every single one of us can't leave this campus without being a part of or being surrounded by it, then we're not going to start to make a difference. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Ben. Well, I think
Oh, okay. So from now on, what we're going to do is just read the question, and everybody's going to make sure that they listen intently to make sure that they heard the question. So,
Read it twice then.
sure. So I'll read it again now. So the question was, do you think men and women should both be present for sexual assault information sessions?
Yes, right. Oh yeah, it's off, yeah. Turn it off, back on.
Hello?
We have a walkie-talkie system going right now. So I do believe that men and women should both be present for information sessions in regards to sexual assault. More often than not, I find in statistics that women are the victims, but men can be victims as well. I think it's important for both parties to be there, to learn how to deal with it and learn how to prevent it. And if we educate properly, if we properly educate both genders, we can make great strides in looking to prevent sexual violence here on campus. Thank you.
That's so basically, the blue light emergency program that I was talking about, that is just the application of it. There still would be workshops and things along those lines to prevent sexual assault, and I feel as though it's not only, as Ben says, not only recommended that men attend, but it would actually be, it really should attend it. I do believe like it's something along the lines of 90% of actual sexual assault does come from men. So it would actually be vital for them to actually attend, yes. Also, just so you guys know, the union, the members of the union right now are actually over reading week. We'll be going through a prevention of some sorts for sexual assault. And it seems, if that workshop actually seems to actually work, if it seems to be good, then we could actually implement that for students next year as well. Thanks.
Works for me, yay. So the answer to that question is yes, absolutely. I mean, if you're just going to talk to women, like you're missing 50% of the population roughly, and obviously, of course, rape happens to men as well. But also, I think after reading some research done for Nova Scotia, I find that one of the biggest problems when it comes to rape is the idea of not knowing when no means no or when yes means yes, which sounds silly, but that actually can be confusing to many males and females. So I think one of the most key things, one of the most basic things that sadly hasn't been done in high school, but we'll have to step it up here, is educating people on what this means. You know, alcohol content, drinking, partying, and stuff. This complicates the matter, and I think just a simple bit of education, this is a university after all, will go a long way in protecting men and women from sexual assault. So yes, of course, both should be involved. Thank you.
Okay. So from now on, I'm gonna read the question out twice. All four of you are gonna listen to it and possibly write it down, whatever helps you remember it. And then just keep the mic on there so there's no technicality, difficulty going on. So this question also relates to sexual assault. And the question is, given all three of you have said things about changing and addressing the sexual assault policy, what exactly are your plans on addressing that issue? And first up is Ben.
Thanks so much for this question again. Now, what I see as being, again, the concrete reality of the policy is, again, a statement on it from our union and then hopefully our university when we speak to them as partners, but then using the policy to ensure that we're bringing together our resources in a very accessible manner for the people who need to access them, and these resources need to not only be information in the event of emergencies and the event of situations, but also information around prevention. So we're talking about conversations of consent, conversations of bystanders. These are important things that need to be in the faces of students every day here. The second part of my policy and the second part of my commitment is really that this is not going to be one among many priorities of the union. It's going to be the primary commitment of the union for the year that we're going to address this issue. In that way, I see my plans in addressing this issue as a way of really helping to provide, again, a more positive atmosphere in which survivors and victims in cases can come forward and get information, as well as, again, hopefully providing a situation in which we're dealing with the small hospital. Thank you so much.
One of my main plans actually is to implement self-defense classes here in the university. They'll be provided by the union and will be of no cost to the students as well. These will be available to both men and women to be able to take. Another plan is to just get more involved and more engaged and have more dialogue with the CBU Student Union Women's Center. I believe they're very knowledgeable, and I believe they can give us ideas on how to better deal with sexual violence on campus and how to better prevent sexual assaults. My final plan is a one that I will make whether or not I'm elected or not. I pledge to the Women's Center today and to all of you that win or lose this election, I will go out and I will volunteer and I will help the CBU Student Union's Women's Center, and I will do everything that I can to prevent sexual assault and sexual violence on campus. And I think this is something that all four of us up here should pledge to do, and we should really correct this. Thank you.
So actually talking about sexual assault is one thing, but doing something is another. So I feel as though the talking part of it, getting people some, getting information out to people, no means no, or that sort of stuff, is important. But when it comes to actually applying safety measures, I do feel as though that the blue light emergency program that I'm talking about, which is implemented across even Nova Scotia, schools like Acadia, Dallas, St. FX, all these schools have it. So that blue light emergency program would actually be key in actually creating a safe campus and making students in general feel safe. Thanks.
So the way I would suggest that we tackle this is it's far beyond just a simple election in a one-year term. This is it's something that we as a student community have to address together over the next years. We have to address multiple issues and tackle them in various ways. Obviously, one way is education. Another way is increasing security, helping men and women protect themselves from this crime. And I think that it is an infinitely complex issue that we have to tackle from various fronts. So it's not just a one-line thing. It's something that we have to work together over the years. And one day, I think we can and we will tackle this and make sure that everybody is safe on this campus. And this is a place of fun, not a place of danger. Thank you.
Okay. So the next couple questions relates to mental health, and I forgot to read the question twice last time, so I'll start that now. So, to all, what do you propose we do about both the health, well, this is actually the health and dental plan, sorry. The next question is about mental health, so I'll start with this one. What do you propose we do about both the health and dental plans? I'll repeat the question again. What do you propose we do about both the health and dental plans?
When we're talking about our health and dental plans, we have to understand that to some degree we are locked into plans with our providers. So the flexibility of the rates that we're going to get is going to be minimal to some extent. If it is possible for rates to be lowered, obviously that's something that we'd love to pursue. But to some extent, this isn't an issue that simply one or the other candidate's going to be able to be better advocating for this. In a lot of ways, whether or not we get lower rates is going to be something that will depend when our contracts come up for renewal, and until those times, to some extent, when we've made these plans, there's not a lot we can do in those cases. The best things we can do in some cases, though, is to try and ensure that our students are participating in them, that they know how to access those plans most efficiently, and having a good sense of communication between our union and our students is the best way that we can do that. Thank you so much.
I'm guessing what the premise of the question implies that there is a problem with the health and dental plan. And when I first came here to CBU, I did not know that I would be paying for a health and dental plan. And apparently, to my understanding, as sitting as an SRC member and just as a student asking questions in general, we're locked into a contract with that. So if we're locked in a contract, there's not much we can do, unfortunately. I can't go to Bell and get them to lower my phone bill. I can't go to MasterCard and get them to lower my credit card balance. I don't know if we'll be able to do that, actually. I don't know if we'll be able to get it lower. But we can look at the fair market value of it. We can look to see what other universities are paying for their health plans. And we can take it to our health and dental provider. And maybe we might be able to provide a better price. But I think that's what we need to do, and I think that's where it starts. Thank you.
The problem with our mental, or I'm guessing this is mainly our health plan, because our dental plan, as they pointed out, is we are locked in with our dental plan. With our health plan, however, it's been a year-by-year contract for the past few years, and the problem with it is the fact that as soon as the union, as soon as the executive actually get into power or get into the office, they actually they just go by day, and because of the fact that the union has been comfortable with this health plan for the past few years, they've actually just continued with it. However, having been in the union and having been talking to other companies, I do know that the current health plan provider is charging us too much. So that's where my promise for lowering the current health plan comes from. Thanks.
As far as the health plan goes, obviously if we can negotiate and find somebody who's going to provide you a cheaper plan, I mean, I'm all for it, but saving money it's not a political idea, it's just common sense. But there's other ideas we can do this as well, besides simply negotiating a good deal. We can do things by ourselves. I mean, preventive medicine campaigns, eating healthy, hygiene. You're never too old to not be taught to wash behind your ears. We can do all sorts of things that can keep us healthy, not simply just a plan that'll pay for healthcare. Let's try to prevent you from actually having to go to the hospital and pay those costs. And then we can talk about negotiating for those costs later on. Thank you.
Folks? Okay. The next question relates to mental health. It is, mental health is a large issue in university life. What would you guys do to make it known? Repeat. Mental health is a large issue in university life. What would you guys do to make it known?
So obviously, we've heard one plan really around mental health here, and that's been an online survey. To some extent, I think an online survey misses the point when we're addressing mental health as the union, because an online survey is something that I see myself doing in my home, alone, and then not having a conversation about it. I find it as a way that someone can self-diagnose and then not get the help that perhaps they need because they're not having that conversation that helps bring people out when they are having, they're feeling the stigma that some people feel when it comes to mental health. So I think that again, in a lot of ways, a lot like what I've been talking about with sexual assault, the most important thing is that we're having conversations that aren't just random and they're not just poorly attended, as we've heard before from one of these candidates. What I really want to see is I want to see discussions that are poignant, that they're all around campus, that they're in residence, classrooms, dorm rooms. And these are issues that people need to be addressing, not just once or twice a year or monthly, but weekly and daily. Thank you very much.
It looks like an alien.
Just continuing what my friend said here, I don't know if a mental health survey is the answer. I spoke with my mother last night, who has worked in mental health for over 20 years, actually, in a unit up at Harborstone. And she told me last night that a survey necessarily wouldn't give you the exact same diagnosis that a doctor would. A doctor determines personal history, childhood, family background, previous history of mental health disorders, and an incident that may have caused this condition. So we need to do a better job, just as a university, promoting mental health initiatives. And we can do fundraising events too. There's no reason why we can't do several fundraising events at the HIC throughout a year to raise money for mental health initiatives. There's a lot we can do, and much more that we can do as a union and working together as a community. Thank you.
So the fact actually is that a doctor, if he does not finish a diagnosis between in 8 minutes time, he's actually losing money off the actual service he's providing. And a mental health assessment actually takes 45 minutes to complete. So the point of this actual assessment tool that I'm proposing would actually be to to actually get the knowledge and actually have a diagnosis from the top physicians in Canada on mental health. And then you could bring it to your doctor and it would speed the process along. And when it comes to actually doing this at home, the best part of it, I would say that's a great thing because of the fact that people who are going through mental health problems, sometimes they're actually, they feel that they don't actually want to make it public. They want it to actually be something that they only want to know one-on-one with themselves. So I feel as though this is actually something, the fact that this is done on a computer, done in your own house, is actually a great part of the plan. Thanks.
Obviously, dealing with mental health is something that all of us have to be concerned about. Obviously, we all get stressed around these time of years, but it's much more greater than that. We've all talked about kind of stigmatism that arises with the idea of mental issues. We don't want to address it. We feel embarrassed. We feel that there's some kind of, you're different from others. I actually have dealt with this personally on my own. When I was a grade 8 student, I was diagnosed with high-functioning Asperger's syndrome. Pretty much the epitome of feeling different from everybody else. And I want to tell everybody who is personally fighting their own private battles right now that it's talking to friends and professionals and doing whatever you want that will help you get over this. You have to be out in the public and you have to talk to everybody, and that's how you deal with these battles. So I think together we can work together as a community and help everyone. I think that would make a better environment in school and that would help everybody with their own private mental issues. Thank you.
I'll remember eventually.
All right, thanks guys. The next question relates to social life, and it is, social life on campus is a large aspect of many students' university experience and is a key ingredient in recruitment and retention. What strengths do you feel that you possess for planning a great cross week as well as other events throughout the year? And again, social life on campus is a large aspect of many students' university experience and is a key ingredient in recruitment and retention. What strengths do you feel that you possess for planning a great cross week as well as other events throughout the year?
The important thing that we need to realize is that we need more than an open ear as the union when it comes to planning our events and planning what we're going to do. We need more than an open door. We need to go out that door and start speaking to our students. Too often are we waiting in our office, waiting in our boardrooms for students to come and tell us what they want. It shouldn't be on them to come and tell us what they want. We need to be out there interacting with them and bringing our ideas and helping them bring their ideas to fruition. In that way, I really think that providing us real vibrant social life here on campus is part and parcel of having better communication with our students. And that can't just be us putting out notices on Facebook and on Twitter. It has to be us speaking face-to-face with our students and understanding what the needs of the students are and what they want to see here. Only in that way are we really going to start to having events that people are really interested in being a part of and feel that they're already a part of. Feeling like we're not a part of the CBU community is a huge reason why a lot of people don't want to come here all the time. It's a place that you come, you see what's going on that day, you go to your classes, and then you go home. That's not acceptable. And only when we start to really communicate with our students better are we going to understand what we should be doing. Thank you.
Hello again. The question was, what strengths and qualities do I possess to provide a better social life here on campus? I'm going to be honest. I have the party life of a dead log, and I really don't go out. I really don't do too much. However, I do have resources at my disposal. Many of you may know I have several family members that are in the bar industry. My cousins own the Old Triangle, used to own Daniels, the Capri. I will milk those resources for all I can, but I will go and I will get the answers to that question. Secondly, I believe it starts with the student union executive. We need to get down out of the office and we need to start engaging with the people more, with the students, because the business of government is the business of the people, and the people are right here. Thank you.
I would actually agree with these two who are saying that we do have to be more communicative with the students. We do have to be going out, talking to students, asking what sort of events they do want. To be honest, whenever I went around and talked to the students, a lot of people came up with international ideas, things to actually get more international students to do different events. So those sort of things are great. When it comes to my strengths, well, I've been here for a year, so I know when events work. I know which don't. I know which ones tank. I know which ones cause problems. I know which events are popular with the students. Also, when it comes to Frost Week, like I said earlier, the university has already asked me to start playing Frost Week because of the fact that they will be start to promoting it with the people that they're trying to bring to our campus next year, the first years who are coming to our campus, because of the fact that it was so productive here last Frost Week. So, with that being said, those would be my strengths. Thank you.
I'll have to basically kind of sympathize with this one. I'm probably the last person you should ask for this kind of ideas. I'm much more interested in listening to a lecture on Napoleon battle tactics than I would be going out to any kind of bar or anything like that. That's why I feel, though, that talking to students, the first issues when I was talking to people was better social life. That was the thing I heard over and over and over again. So clearly there is a disconnect there. And the only way I can see doing that is talking to people who actually go to these things and want to see them improve. And having a better social life means having a better community. It means everybody interacting with each other, which will ultimately make this school stronger. So we have to work for that, even if I personally myself don't really like them. But I know the majority doesn't. That's what we're looking for. Thank you.
I know, right? We're moving already.
Thanks for turning off the mic. Okay. The next question relates to international students. And it is 30% of our student body are international. What plans do you have to make these students feel better welcomed and integrated into campus and community life? And again, 30% of our student body are international. What plans do you have to make these students feel better welcomed and integrated into campus and community life?
The issue with helping to integrate our international students into a CBU community better is twofold. On the one hand, I think that resources need to be more available both for faculty, administration, and students in how we're communicating with each other. Only in that way are we really going to start to build the bonds between our professors, our students, and our administrators to really start addressing how we're helping these people integrate into both their classrooms and then their residencies. But beyond that, I think when we're talking about actually integrating students in CBU, we need to look at it as not just a domestic student and an international student issue, but a student issue here as a whole. I can still pick out tables of Sydney Academy students, of Riverview students, and Memorial students. And I know that for my first 2 years here, it was very difficult for me to get integrated with other students, even from other places in Cape Breton. So when we're looking at that issue, I think we really need to, while there are obviously unique issues that come to international students, we need to really also be paying attention to integration of our student body as a whole. Thank you.
Whatever, I don't know how to work it. There we go. All right, I'd like to open up here with a quote from a good friend of mine. It was said at the municipal council meeting back in November. International students love Cape Breton, but we don't feel that Cape Breton loves us. And what words could be more true than that? This is a genuine struggle that they are feeling here, not just in CBU, but in Cape Breton as a whole. And I think we need to do a better job and have a more proactive approach as the student union. As president of the student union, I will go to the front of these international issues. I will go and I will represent them to the university. I will go and I will represent them to the municipality, the provincial government, the federal government, whatever needs to be done. I feel that they need to feel welcome here, and they feel the same way. And anything that I can do in my power to help international students feel more welcome is what I'll do. And one of those plans is the creation and the founding of an International Student Center next year. And there's more details on that to come another time now. Thank you.
So that actual quote is the main reason why I came up with this integration and this international student welcome plan that I keep pushing. Basically, when they get here, like I said, they just get here and they're dropped off, and I don't feel as though a resort or a center where there might be games and stuff like that would actually integrate them into our actual community. So the problem is that they're fine with communicating with one another, but when it comes to integrating them together with other students, that's where we're lacking our experience. So with my plan, it would be completely built by international students with counseling with them and all that sort of stuff. And so it's basically built around the fact that to actually integrate them in our community and in our campus. So that's what I would actually do to try and integrate those 30% of our students. Thanks.
I couldn't possibly imagine the challenge that international students have to face. Not only come from a foreign country with a completely different culture and then land in Cape Breton and have to try to learn a second language. Now, I love Cape Breton, but let's face it, our mastering of the English language leaves something to be desired. And to try to learn a second language and to have to deal with various colloquialisms and other things can be challenging. But I find that interacting with students is benefit for both sides. Now, there's a lot of ideas that we put forth, and I love them all. And I think we can't possibly do enough. The idea of having an international student center, of just having even basic meetings, meet and greet, understanding, or even pushing for classes about foreign cultures. And I believe all of this in the end will help us integrate together as a community. And it's all positives and no losses. So let's just move forward and do this in common sense.
All right, so this is the final question, and it relates to parking. So every year we hear about better parking and transit options. How do you plan to make these reality? And again, every year we hear about better parking and transit options. How do you plan to make these reality?
You're absolutely right that this is something that we hear about every year, and while I think it's really important that we need to continue our advocacy as the union to try and get better access to parking, I think again it's very important that we look at new ways of addressing the issue of transit. Getting to and from the university is what is driving a lot of our students away from the university in their free time and putting them somewhere else. We lose the potential of those students, both in their ideas and their participation in the events that they could be a part of, if they did feel like they had an easier way to be here. And again, one of my ideas about this is addressing it through a carpooling program for students. But I've heard other ideas around shuttles. We've actually tried shuttles in the past at the university, and that's why I'm actually pushing for a carpooling program, because shuttles have been tried and failed because students didn't want to walk to 8 blocks in the freezing cold rather than calling for a cab, and that's understandable. And this is why I think a carpooling program is more flexible for students and can better address their needs. Thank you.
I do agree with Ben, that's an excellent idea, and I think that definitely should be implemented one way or another, the carpooling idea that is. In regards to parking, that's an issue between the municipality and the university, and I don't know how much the Students' Union has an actual say over that. In regards to transit, this is an issue that I faced during my municipal campaign as well. Not enough people are riding buses, and I doubt that that's the issue up here. There definitely is a demand up here for buses and for people riding the bus. So an idea that I had is putting together a committee of concerned students that ride the bus and take that form of transit frequently. We need to go to the municipality and we need to tell them that we want more buses up here at CBU. And I believe that that can be done. We need more frequent bus routes, more bus stops, and we need to provide this service for CBU. They're an essential customer of the Cape Breton Regional Municipality and their transit system, their busing system. Thank you.
When it comes to transit, it is tough because we don't really have much control. It's mainly advocacy that we'd actually look at. In a few days, actually, it's been a week or so, Matt and I actually had a scolding session with Transit Cape Breton on that we're basically just going to lay it down and tip help. But you know what? They're not doing enough. They're not having enough trips to the university. They're not having frequent stops. They're not having frequent visits. The buses aren't coming quick enough. When it comes to parking, it is a tough issue. It is. It's been only slowly improving over a few years, and it's not enough. When it comes to parking, it's mainly just making sure that the spots that we do have available are available. So that's where I would push. That's where I would push most of my efforts. Thanks.
The issue of parking has been compounded by three things. Basically, as the other candidates member, is the problem with snow removal often limits our parking, which is already in a terrible situation. Secondly, it's simply just limited. Thirdly, it's also compounded by the fact that, like you mentioned before, the transit is completely terrible, and that is something that we need to address. All the candidates seem to like the idea of a carpool or something similar to that, and there's other ideas as well. But something I'd like to address to that is that I'd like to know where the money that we pay for all these tickets is going. I'd like to see actually that money move more towards either helping the parking situation or helping the students better. The fact is that we're students and we have limited financial needs. So I'd like to see instead of that money just being siphoned off us, making us pay for the limited privilege of already having to pay to go to school, and see that money is actually used for something that we can see as being productive. Thank you.
I would like to thank the candidates for answering the questions. We did have more questions submitted. We did have to select based on time, so thanks to Josh for going through them and picking out ones that were relevant and certainly and very important for the candidates. We are aware, of course, that Students' Union President and Vice President are very important positions, and you represent students in many, many ways. I think it's really essential that students become aware and realize that you don't just sit in offices, that you do a lot of work on committees, University Senate. You really help to make decisions here at the university. With that in mind, I would like to now invite each candidate to give a closing statement, just 1 minute, just to sort of refocus, challenge opponents if you wish, but we don't have time for a question and answer, but it's just essentially just really to give us something to think about. What would you like to leave us with? When we think of you as a candidate, what would you leave us with? Starting off with Ben McNutt.
So I'm going to leave you with, again, what I think has been the most important part of my campaign, and that's a sexual assault policy on prevention and advocacy. We're dealing with a situation on campus where 1 in 6 female students in Atlantic Canada are dealing with sexualized violence. That number is absolutely unacceptable. The similar study showed that 1 in 5 men on campuses were responding by saying that forced sexual intercourse was all right provided they'd been together for a long time, they were high or drunk, or he'd spent a lot of money on it. That is the sad state of campuses at this point in time. And I think that the ways in which the other candidates have dealt with it have been interesting to some extent, but we're also have to realize that in these cases, 69% of the victims have consumed alcohol, and in 44% of cases, drugging is suspected. So self-defense and getting to a self-help booth are not going to be reasonable ways of dealing with this. Again, when so much of this is occurring in dorm rooms and houses, as with people we know, rather than in public. So I want to thank you so much again. Once again, my name is Ben McNutt.
And now, Brandon Ellis.
Great. Challenge all day. Thank you very much for coming out today. I greatly appreciate it. And I'd just like to say another quote from Robert Kennedy. Only those who dare to fail greatly can ever achieve greatly. I'm willing to take a lot of chances here as the student union president. I'm not afraid to play out my policies and my ideas, and I'm not afraid to go out and try to make them work. I do, if elected, if you vote for me, you're voting for someone with experience. You're voting for someone who's run a municipal campaign, who has served on the student council, who has served as the deputy chair of the student council, someone who will make a difference for you, someone who will advocate for the students better. And if you go out and vote, make sure that you remember that your vote is an investment. And cast that vote wisely. Make the informed decision. My name is Brandon Ellis, and thank you very much for coming.
And now, Brendan Woodrow.
That was a little more intense than the last introduction, so thank you, John. I'd just like to leave with saying that 1 in 5 students deal with mental health issues throughout their lifetime. And right now, we're actually not doing enough. You see, every February or so, you'll see 7,000 million tweets. I know it's not really a number, but 7 million tweets about Bell Let's Talk. So you see all these tweets, and you see all this talking, but there's actually no action coming out of it. So I'm here to prepare for that action. If anyone here actually has any questions, I know that there's been a bit of a debate about how effective this mental health plan would be that I want to implement. So if anybody does have any questions about the mental health plan I want to implement, any other questions about anything else that I've been talking about up here, or if you guys ever have any concerns or if you have any recommendations coming into the next year, just let me know. Come up and let me know. I'll be around all day, probably watching the Olympics. So with that, my name is Brian Boudreau, and please vote for me tomorrow and on Wednesday. Thanks.
And now the vice presidential candidate, Andrew Petrie.
My closing statement is very simple. Today we've heard and talked about a lot of issues, all of them very important, all of them affecting us together as a community. I don't want anybody leaving here today saying, well, that was a waste of my time. How could we possibly do that? The fact is that you're standing here today, you're now standing in an institution where you're going to learn knowledge that is going to help you in your life. You are going to accomplish greater things in your future than you will right now. The challenge that we face, they are hard, they are serious, but together, collectively, we can accomplish anything we want to. We landed a person on the moon, we can protect women. We've flown faster than the speed of sound, we can correct parking problems. It's just a matter of hard work, dedication, and working together, and we can accomplish anything. Thank you.
I would like to thank all of the candidates for taking part in today's debate. Please remember that voting is essential. It is a right, but it's one that works best only when we exercise it. So please show up, vote, and if you have any questions for the candidates, they've all extended an invitation for you to talk to them. Now you know a little bit more about them. Please take that opportunity. Thank you, candidates, for engaging these issues. Thank you for being so politically aware, and thank you for sharing your views with us today. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mike.